Hi everyone, this is Mel, and welcome to my new podcast on midlife. And I've covered this topic a couple of times, but I wanted to do this from the lens of midlife as well, which is how to create a soul-led life. Because of course we know that as we get into our 40s, and in particular our 50s, most definitely, we might be thinking about life that's different from the career that we've had, the lifestyle that we've got, the role that we play, and the dynamics in our lives in general. So, have you ever felt like you were living someone else's version of your life, or like you tick the boxes, done what was expected, but your soul now feels restless? So, for those who don't know me, I'm Mel Gabby, and I'm a mental health and wellbeing consultant, a therapist, coach, yoga and meditation teacher, guide, creator, all sorts of things. And over the last 2 decades or more, I've been helping people break free from all sorts of things, including burnout, toxic relationships, people pleasing, being in survival mode, and moving them towards not just change, grow and transform, but actually transforming their life in a way that just works for them, that feels better. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what a soul-led life is and isn't, to give you some clues. Okay, and so if you like this, like and subscribe, because I'd like to see the channel grow. That would be great. If you want to set up a separate session with me, there should be a link below this. My email address is on most of the videos as well. So there's soul-led life and there's an ego-led life. So certainly for the first 20 years at least, probably until we're about 30, we're mostly in our ego, shaped by expectations, fear, survival roles. Our ego and our brain's job is to help us evolve and keep us safe. So we are born into a family, a culture that has beliefs and values, and we're given an idea of the way that the family views the world, what our role is. If we're the firstborn, it's different to the lastborn. If we're a girl, it's different to the boy. It depends on what your parents are going through when they have you. So there's all these different things that influence our sense of mental health and well-being, and our view of ourselves, our self-esteem, and our self-value, as well as how we relate to the wider world. And sometimes we start to question some of that when we get to about 14, 15, especially if we're hanging around with people that maybe aren't really into the things that we are, and we want to enjoy being with friends who like the same music and things like that. And that could be the first phase of what Carl Jung talks about in terms of individuation. And then you leave school, go to university, get independent. You maybe do a course that you want to do or that your parents chose for you. And then maybe you meet someone, you get married, you have children, or you don't, you go traveling around the world. And then there comes another point in life where either you go through something significant, you have an illness, an accident, a breakup, and it makes you reevaluate your life, as a lot of people who've even had near-death experiences, or you just get into you're doing okay and you get into your 40s and 50s fairly easily, and then you start to think, okay, who am I? Where am I? What do I want for me now? What do I want to create? But the ego is shaped by beliefs and values and expectations and culture and survival roads and the need to please. But a soul-led life, on the other hand, is guided more by this. We're not always aware of it, what our intuition is saying, but the things that make us feel good, that light us up, the people that we like spending time with, as we're using words now like alignment and presence. So for me, a soul-led life is, I do photography, I enjoy it, I have my camper van, I get on the road, I love travel, I love meeting people, having spontaneous conversations. But what I also started to understand as I was coming out of stress and trauma from the car accident, stress from burnout, and stress from a relationship that was where there was a lot of drama, is I started to feel more peaceful, even without perfect circumstances, even though sometimes my money dips and goes up and dips and goes up, and that you're not forcing as much. Or like I said on a previous podcast, we can go through these cycles of feeling guilty because we're not done enough, we haven't done enough work, we haven't tidied the house enough, or X, Y, and Z. And then I look back and I think, I only started to slow down 3 years ago after being at it. So what was it, 3 years? Forgetting the year. 2022. I started working at 16. So if you think about how long you've been working, 30 hours, 40 hours, 50 hours. I mean, when I was at my peak between 2008 and 2016, I was working a lot. I was running multiple projects and always busy. So I only started to slow down, but it's taken a while for my brain to reorientate itself from finding it weird. Like, great that if I had the one day initially, I went down from 5 days to 4 days. And that was great. I could do my shopping, take it easy, take stuff back to the shop, do some cooking for a few days, get in a bit of order rather than running from one thing to the next. And when I went down to 3 days, it was great. But I massively reduced what I was doing after late 2022. I went through another period of feeling really exhausted. To the point, like that feeling when you're driving, your eyes are just really heavy. So I decided to take a few months off. And in the meantime, I was just starting. I just started teaching yoga at some festivals, but their summer. I'd been running some online yoga sessions and meditation. I was doing some workshops, I had a meetup group, and I had some clients, but nothing like the hours and the amount of anxiety and work I was doing because I was running a service that carried a lot of risk. So I started to feel slowly. And I think for women who would identify more as strong, independent, alpha driven career females, in particular, find it hard to even know what slowing down feels like. So we'll say you just need to slow down and rest. What does that feel like? But I remember starting to feel this deep sense of stillness and peace on and off. Initially, when I was doing meditation, I could just feel my body just going, taking like this deep breath. And then I started to feel it more and more in my day-to-day life, whereas peace is more of a byproduct, not a byproduct now, is now more of a given, not just a byproduct of going to yoga once a week, which is what I started doing about 2011 or 12. I'd be relaxed for 2 hours a week, and then I was doing yoga 3 times a week. And so I was relaxed for 6 hours a week. But I was so exhausted that I used to fall asleep on the mat and then and not even, probably irritate some of the other people. I was the woman that fell asleep, or I was the woman that cried because I was just caving in, I can't go with the stress. But there was no let up. I couldn't hand my work over or anything. So there's like, now I'm still tuning into my body, and it's about not forcing. So it's about wake up in the morning, and I work on average. When I say work, I see clients on average, say 3 a day. And then I go for a walk, I might go for a swim. If I'm on the road, I'm doing a lot of exploring. And I might just have the whole afternoon, and then I might do some hours in the night on my project, on recording, or writing. But that doesn't feel like work. But sometimes that is draining because I'm pushing it and forcing myself. And sometimes you feel a bit more guided, or your intuition's just giving you nudges. You learn how to notice the nudges, the feelings that you have, something that feels like, curiosity. Oh, quite like to do that. And sometimes I'm teaching people that very thing of how to notice when your body feels drawn towards something in curiosity and interest, not through force. So that inner guidance system, you might even feel more expressive and more creative. So what blocks us from having a soul-led life? Trauma, patterns, people pleasing, overfunctioning, shrinking. Tick, 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 next to my name. Narcissistic dynamics. Tick. Went out with one. Being a caretaker or emotional container. Tick. That's what empaths do. It's what therapists do. It's what makes us good at our job, but is also an Achilles heel. The fear of being too much or not enough. So kids who've experienced parents that were preoccupied, busy, on drugs, alcohol, or had mental health issues, where there was some level of emotional neglect, often feel like they're too much or not enough for people. Feeling like your truth is inconvenient or not welcome. You share your ideas and it's minimized, overlooked, ignored. So that's when they're the blocks. And the biggest ones are the more we pay attention, the more we slow things down and sit, breathe, reflect, the more we become aware of any of the patterns that are taking place. So I'm gonna make this a short one and the top ideas for setting the foundations for creating a soul-led life. Because it may come in stages. So the nudge started towards where am I going? What do I want to do? Oh, maybe I want to write and do a blog. Started in 2016. That's 9 years ago. But I still took another job and wound that down to 4 days, took another job, wound it down to 3 days, took on a big project, but I was running it as autonomous, very creative, so it kind of worked, even though it was stressful and busy. Um, so it can go in stages because we've got to. Sometimes we need to slowly mourn our identity, and sometimes we need a fast change, a massive restructure. You leave the country, you get a new job, or you meet someone, and your whole life turns around overnight. So, what helps to set the foundations for this is to notice these little nudges, to notice when you feel curious to go and explore somewhere new or thinking about where you'd like to live instead. But you need some silence and capacity to do some self connection because you can't hear yourself when your world's in chaos. And that's why in these relationships with narcissists or people who've got serious mental health issues, drug addiction, anything like that, where there's a lot of drama, everywhere there's a lot of drama, you can't actually hear yourself. It's hard to pay attention to the thoughts that are going through your head because you've got someone who's constantly texting you, wanting to know something, drawing you into some labored, long explanation that you realize makes no point after a while, into the whys and wherefores of everything. And I've ruined a few Friday nights getting stuck in that pattern with someone. So you can do that, like when you do my 30-day course, you can do that. You answer some journaling questions, you do a bit of breath work, you walk in nature. So if you get yourself a bit of a routine, it's easy to do those things. It could be that at the end of the day, you just take a walk out, take your journal with you, sit in the car. If it's hard to get peace at home, or stay longer at work and do that, or go to yoga and do the journaling that when you get home after the yoga. It's just a case of starting to prioritize how you make time for yourself. And no, it's not easy when you've got small children. Totally get that. Um, I did have some time at the weekend, but that was usually either spent sleeping or watching Friends Frasier and having bottles of wine. I wasn't really sitting down. I studied a lot, but by the time Friday comes, I just wanted to let go completely. Number two, sovereignty and boundaries. And you don't always know what your boundaries are like. And that's why it's good to really notice what it feels like when something feels okay. But when you say no, you don't want to do something and someone's trying to convince you, for example, then you can feel guilt, fear, or obligation. And I didn't realize how that was still running through my patterns, even though I thought I was doing very, very well at not doing things that I didn't want to sign up for. A friend might, oh, should we do this, go here or there? I've got a couple of friends that I didn't realize until I started hanging out with them a lot more, that when we met up, just wanted to do a little bit of shopping, and that little bit of shopping turned into an hour or an hour and a half. And I don't like going shopping with friends, really. I like sitting down chatting. I don't get to see them that much. I don't enjoy going from shop to shop. I would find it exhausting. And so when your energy becomes your own commodity that you decide how you share it, then you're going to put in more boundaries, especially if you've experienced stress and chronic fatigue or mental health issues in the past, because it's paramount. Then creativity and expression. So, like I said in previous podcasts, creativity isn't just about painting. It's about how you speak, how you dress, how you write, how you express yourself, how your soul speaks to you. And the more that you pay attention to the sparks and the nudges that you get, the more you find that more ideas come. So if you're focused on, do you know what? In the winter, I think I'm going to go to all the art galleries and the museums. then you'll be drawn to researching that and carving out time for that. Or you might say, I'm going to join the gym and I'm going to do a 12-week program or a course online or something. So it's about connecting with that creative part of you, of noticing that feeling where it says, I've always wanted to do, I've always wanted to do French or knitting or join a group of women doing painting, regardless of how good you are. And how you express yourself. So if you've always worn the same outfits, get a mate to take you shopping. What would they put you in that they think you would suit? Or see a stylist or somebody that's works out all your colours, because that can help shift any stagnant energy, and start moving you into a bit of a different zone. And then trust and timing. So we're all in groups, and we know whether it's soul groups, community groups, cultural groups, meetup groups, and the ones that work are the ones that you can open up, and often we'll attract people that sort of can mirror where we are in life, but we can also start to open up to new opportunities and new connections. And it's great when it starts moving in that direction. But like I said, if you've got all that drama going on in your life and distractions and distortions and everyone pulling from you because everybody else has got needs and you're not saying no and you've not put yourself first, you've got to start to slowly wean people off you in some way. And then, you start to think about what are the things that you love doing as a kid? What are your values now? If you go online, you can look at doing a values exercise and you look at what your top values are and what did you enjoy as a kid. It doesn't mean say you're going to do a job in that and earn money. But if you enjoy nature, get back out in nature. If you enjoyed going swimming, you probably still like swimming. So it's reconnecting with things that light you up. And the more you do that, if you do something every day consistently, the energy grows within that. And it really starts to move you further into what is going to work for you. So, like I said, you need to develop your self awareness in terms of where you're at, what's going on in your brain, your body, where you're at in life, what's going on around you, what you're motivated to do quite easily. Because one thing I love about the camper van is when I go to a new place, I get dopamine hit, dopamine hit, dopamine hit, because I'm going to a new place I've not seen before. They've got antique shops, cafes. It's all novel. It's like, oh, wow, that's nice, that's cute, that's great. Where I live, I don't get those dopamine hits. I find them at times, like I drove down the road the other day, and all the trees were like oranges and browns and all, and that time of the year gives you that. Oh, it's like, oh wow, that's lovely. So where can you get the dopamine hits and novelty? Because that also helps shake up your energy, but also some things need to land. So to get the good feelings and the endorphins are prolonging that activity that you enjoy a bit more and making that more of a regular thing. And then thinking about where are you in your comfort zone where you go, oh, I'm okay, I'm happy here. Lots of people can say that, but you're in your comfort zone. So maybe just choose one thing a week that pushes you a bit out of your comfort zone. Don't go to the same shop, get a bus into the next area, walk instead of drive. I remember when I got my van, it was really interesting because I was going over the same roads and over the same bridges, but because I was higher up, I was starting to see the rivers. And I was like, this is a totally different perspective. So that was like opening the door of a new way of seeing things around me in a lovely way. So we often have what's like our safe zone where we've built up these things that we've worked hard to gain, like the house, and we like it tidy in a certain way, and we like visitors in a certain way. And then we have just a bit outside of that is where we stretch ourselves a little bit by going online and joining a meetup group, or like I said, expanding that, going to shops a bit further afield, or going to college and doing a course that you've wanted to do. I got into therapy training only because I took a 6-week course. I didn't take a 4-year diploma. There's no way I would have signed up for a 4-year diploma. But I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. And I went to it and I was hooked after the first night because the people were nice. It was anxiety evoking, but the training was really nice. The exercises were fun. And I'm so glad because that totally turned my life around. And I didn't know that at the time. And that's the thing, you don't know what you do, what step you're going to take. It could turn your life around. So don't wait for motivation, just make a decision. Okay, so this is a small way of looking at starting to create a soul-led life. I've got longer versions on my YouTube page at the moment where I might have different examples because it depends on what time of the month it is, as to what hormones are acting out, as to what I refer to. And because I'm talking about midlife and these phases we go through. So, just to give you some idea that you can download the playlist. Level 1, change, grow, and transform. Level 2, uh, either level 1 or level 2. So level 1 is maybe you're not familiar with all the different concepts, and they're both structured exactly the same. There's a topic every day. So I'm releasing level 2 again in November. I'm going to be releasing a new level 1 in January. So I'm changing some of the format, and they are going to be going on a new platform where you'll be able to access that for free, but I'm hoping to get a group of people to do level 1 or level 2 at the same time. So they're free, do those. That helps you connect every day with an idea, a topic, some journal questions, an oracle card, some tips, some mental health tips. And you can sit with it for 15, 20 minutes, or you can do it longer. You can do some yoga alongside it as well. If you want deeper support, contact me. My website is melgbb555@hotmail.com, or follow the link if the link is below the video. You can book a call with me, a consultation, and then you can have a look. If you want to sign up to the Kickstart sessions, which is 3 sessions, or a 6-week, 12-week course, or join a group. So hopefully this has been helpful, and I look forward to seeing you next time.